Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm so glad you're here and you take time to listen into the podcast. And most recently, we started a YouTube channel. So now you can watch us on YouTube. And we're still growing the channel slowly, but we're glad you're here. But because you've been listening over these past 3 years now, we have been ranked in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, according to listennotes.com. So thank you for being here and helping us get to this point. All right. Now, today I am talking with Robin Finn. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Robin. Robin Finn is the author of a new book, Heart, Soul, Pen. Find your voice on the page and in your life. And depending on when you're listening to this, it's coming soon, or when you're listening to it, it may have just come out. Depends. And let me tell you more about Robin Finn. She's an award-winning writer, teacher, coach, founder, and creator of Heart, Soul, Pen, a women's writing program where midlife and menopause inspire the desire to say what you mean without apologizing. I mean, who doesn't need that? And her essays have appeared in the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Los Angeles Times, and more. Robin has a master's degree in public health and in spiritual psychology, and she lives somewhere near and dear to me, Los Angeles, with her family. Okay, welcome, Robin Finn.
Thank you so much, Dr. Robin, for having me.
So glad you're here. All right, so you heard me read your bio and introduction, but why don't you tell us in your own words about who you are and then about the work you do?
Well, my name is Robin Finn, and I'm a writer, a teacher, a coach, a workshop facilitator. I'm also the mother of 3 young adults. And I'm the creator and founder of Heart Soul Pen, which is a women's writing program, and also Hot Writing, which is writing about midlife and menopause without apologizing. I do workshops, events, classes, courses to really encourage women to find their voice on the page and in their lives. I think when you find your voice on the page, you just can't help but find it in your life.
I love that.
And I will just share my exciting news, which is that my new book is coming out April 30th, called, you guessed it, Heart Soul Pen, Find Your Voice on the Page and in Your Life. And it's a guide. I think of it as half memoir, half writing manifesto, where it's kind of my story and 10 steps for you, the reader, to come to a divine download where you can write freely, flowing, and start journaling or writing that book that you have inside. And that's the book that's coming out in April.
Okay. And depending on when you're listening to this, listeners, it may be out already or it might still be on the way. Yeah.
Yes.
That's exciting. Either way, it's going to be very exciting.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So you mentioned the book. Tell us the main message of the book.
The main message of the book is really targeted to women. And the main message of the book is you are enough. Whatever you have to say is enough. Your words are worthy. Your voice matters. And if you feel the call to write, answer it.
Ooh. Ooh, I love that. I love that. What prompted you to write the book?
Well, I guess what I would say is as I began teaching writing to women, the one thing that became really, really clear to me is that too often women feel that they're not enough to write. They're not important enough, they're not worthy enough, they're not young enough or old enough or learned enough or expert enough or whatever enough. And women would so often say to me, I'm not really a writer, but, and then share this glorious, incredible piece of writing. And so what prompted me to write the book is my own heartfelt desire to have women all over the world writing, because I think it's so important. and I wanted to create a way to reach more people beside my own classes and courses. But the book is available in any bookstore, wherever you buy books, for any woman who feels like I really do want to write. I have this feeling inside that I have a story to tell. And it's sort of like my voice telling them chapter after chapter that you can do this, you are meant to do this, and whatever education, experience, lived life you have, it is important and worthy, and you can do it. So, I mean, really, it's my heartfelt enthusiasm for women to share their stories.
Yes, yes, that makes sense. Now, when you talk about women sharing their stories, is it for women who want to become published authors, or what kind of writing is this? Is it broadly writing, or is it specifically for people who want to write books and become published authors?
Well, I'd say Heart, Soul, Pen, the program and the book, is really about finding your voice. So you don't have to have an agenda for your writing, but you can. I have many, many students who've gone on to have book deals, to write memoirs and novels, and it's super exciting. They either come to Heart, Soul, Pen with a vision of a book, or they don't, and then they find that vision through their own writing. So I'd say it really doesn't matter if you're someone who has a book idea or a writing project in your heart. This book will definitely help you. I also would say if you're a professional writer and you just feel like, boy, my creativity is not very invigorated, it will reinvigorate your creativity. And if you just want to start, you just want to journal write, you just want to start to get out some of your thoughts, it's right for you too. So I don't think it matters, but I'd say that if you do have a book in your heart, certainly this will give you the steps to get going.
Yeah, that's great. And I also was thinking about, you mentioned journaling. I'm thinking about some of the listeners who might be looking for more meaning and purpose in their work, generally speaking. And when you talk about journaling, it's a good way to get out what you're talking about, finding your voice. I would imagine will help them get more insights into who they are and learn how to do reflection and introspection, which I think are key components to getting to the point of having more purpose and meaning.
Yeah, I love that because if you're a journal writer, sometimes people struggle with having a regular practice. Like I love journaling, but I don't come to it every day. And I talk about some steps that can help you, like creating a writing ritual, setting really small little increments of time to do your writing, just to help you continue having a daily practice of journaling. And I also talk about how to go deeper into your writing, how to look at your writing and see the lines that are triggering more stories that maybe you wouldn't notice, but with just some real easy techniques, you can start to see that you're leaving breadcrumbs in your own work where you need to double click, you need to go deeper into your work. And so you start to see that as you work with some of these really simple tools.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And for people who are watching on YouTube, often people ask me, what's all that behind you? And I thought since we're talking about writing, this is a good time to explain all these post-it notes behind me, because they really are this the components of an outline of a book that I'm finishing writing on how to have more meaning and purpose. And each column is a chapter, and the color-coded themes are color-coded according to the different post-it notes. So I thought this was a good time to interject that in case people were thinking about it, because I never think to mention it on the other episodes. But now that we're on YouTube and people could see it, I thought this was a chance. Since you were talking about, Robin, giving small pieces of tools and tips, and then I thought, well, here's an elaborate.
Well, I
One.
love that. And I was just coaching a writer last week, and I was talking about, they say that there are two types of writers. Um, they say there's outliners and seat of the pantsers. And I have always considered myself a pantser. But I do want to say that even when you are really allowing your creativity to just flow and you're not outlining and you're just writing, there comes a point where it does help. And for me, it's like halfway or two-thirds the way into a project where I suddenly realize, like, okay, my ideas are all over the place. And then I do exactly what you're showing us, where I develop a big piece of poster board. I put like 3 columns, beginning, middle, end, and I just start writing down the things I've written. thematically on sticky notes. So I start to develop my outline about halfway through. There's no right way or wrong way to do it, but that's how I do it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I hope everybody hears that. There's no right or wrong way. It's just your way.
There's
Whatever
just
your
your
way
way.
is and whatever you want to do. I love that. All right. So, the podcast is Leadership Purpose, and I've mentioned purpose a couple times. Do you feel like you have a sense of purpose in your own work?
I would say that my work is absolutely connected to and part of my life's purpose. I mean, I came to writing and teaching later after after I was 40. Um, and what I'd say is for me, it was like I didn't know what my purpose it was. I wasn't aiming for anything. I felt like I was meandering through my work life. I started out in public health and women's health. And then I had three kids, and one of them had special needs. And I became really a devoted advocate for children with learning differences. And then from there, I was really struggling, and I ended up going back to school and going into spiritual psychology. And I was sort of thinking, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just wandering around in this life, but I'm just following my heart. And then after spiritual psychology school, I really recognized that I'm a writer and I've always wanted to write. And I started writing personal essays and developing the confidence to send my work out. And suddenly my work was widely published. And then I started meeting women who would ask me, like, how do you get these thoughts and feelings out onto the page? And then I thought, well, I should teach a class. And so for me, like my purpose of women's health, wellness, writing, female empowerment, and also partly parenting and being a mom and wanting to have a voice and wanting to find your voice, it sort of all came together into Heart Soul Pen. It's like my loves of everything I love, I created into this program. So for me, I can't separate my purpose from my work because it's all one.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Do you think it's important for people in general, or maybe you, to have a sense of purpose in your work? And if so, why? And if not, why not?
I mean, that's a really good question. I guess what I would say is it really depends on who you are. For me personally, because I think I'm a really um, purpose-driven person, I couldn't find fulfillment or happiness in work that didn't really align with that. Other people are able to have a work life and a personal life, and they may be separate, but they still have a life full of purpose. For me, I think that I just needed that alignment to have that kind of energetic enthusiasm that brightens my life. I needed for my work and my purpose to align for me personally. But
Yeah.
again, I'd like to say, like, there's no wrong way. You can go to work and do a good job and then do other things outside of your job that bring your life purpose. But for me, I feel like the alignment really works.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. All right. So the podcast is for high achieving women, but I want to, for those who are listening and for you, to give you my definition of a high achieving woman, because that can mean lots of things to lots of different people, right? High achieving, ambitious, goal oriented, responsible, uh, good at a couple things. And it could be one or more of any of these. People come to them in their work life for advice, ask questions, could be related to what they do or not. And I see you nodding. And even at home, family or extended family and friends that kind of come and, ask for advice related to anything related to what you do or not. And so they tend to be supporting other people. And so this podcast, and especially this season, we're focusing on that same high achieving woman who is doing some work that is not fulfilling to her. And she's now saying there must be more. She's doing all these things, but there must be more. She wants more meaning, a sense of purpose in her work. Now, given the woman I just described, from any area of your life or work, what's some word of advice or some tool or tip you can give to that woman as a way of supporting her as she's supporting everyone else?
That's a great question. You know, I think one of the things that happens when you're that high achieving woman is you're a giver. You're really giving away a lot of yourself, and it's joyful. That's part of your makeup, but you're giving and giving. And there's a question of like, how are you receiving? And how are you allowing yourself to receive? I think this is a really important question because when you're a giver, it can be really difficult to receive. And it's easy to find your tank is empty in all of your giving. So I would say that, writing, the thing that's so wonderful about writing or journaling is, first of all, it's easy. You don't have to go buy a Peloton or anything else. You just need a piece of paper and a pen. I think connecting to your voice, setting aside time to write for you, it's just for you, is nurturing and healing. Expressive writing, that has the data behind it. It lowers stress, it improves your mental health and your overall well-being. So setting aside time to write is a gift you give yourself. And for this high achieving woman, it could even be 5 minutes that you set aside time, you get out your paper and your pen, and you do some writing to express yourself, maybe to let out some feelings, maybe to get to know yourself better, maybe to stay connected to your own voice. I think it's super nurturing, and I think it doesn't have to be difficult, and it doesn't have to take a long time. I mean, you could write for 5 minutes once a day, a couple of days a week, and you will notice right away how much better you feel, how much more connected to yourself you feel. You might even notice what you feel. Because for a lot of busy women, we're so busy doing and giving and sharing, we don't even really take notice of what are we feeling. So I would say, like, setting aside short intervals for journal writing would be a very important part of self-care that I think for a lot of these high achieving women is easy.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to buy special equipment. So that's one thing. And I guess another thing I'd say is just to know that it can be small periods of time. You don't have to commit. A lot of high achieving women are also overachievers, and like they can do so many things. So it's like, if I don't have an hour to sit down and really write every day, 6 days a week, then I won't do it. And I just want to say, like, 5 minutes is enough. 5 minutes of time where you light a candle, make a little ritual for yourself, close the door, don't let anybody in, and just have your time to write for yourself would be so nurturing as a form of self-care.
Yes, I can relate to that. And, your words are resonating with me as someone who does write in a journal and sometimes, want to spend more time with it. And I realize, just like what you're saying, just a few minutes, 5 minutes makes a huge, huge difference in my day and week. So that's very, I think, meaningful advice for folks. All right. Now, you've been so generous with your time, Robin. Is there anything that I've not asked you that you'd like to share, or if something's bubbling up now that you might want to share? This is your one more thing moment before we tell people how to get in touch with you.
Well, I guess my one more thing, well, I have two more things, but I'll be fast. But my one more thing is, in our highly curated world where things are very curated on social media and in lots of different ways, I think people are even more hungry for authenticity. So I really encourage anybody who's looking to communicate authentically with others to set aside the time for writing. Not only is it healing for you, but if you choose to share it, it's so meaningful for others. We are hungry for each other's self-expression and their truth. And I think as we move farther and farther away from authentic truth, we more and more want it. So I encourage you to share your authentic truth too, whether it's, in a newsletter or with a friend. But I do think people are really hungry for authenticity today. And I guess the other thing I would just want to say is that what I do often when I have these workshops is we write and share in community. So I just want to say that writing is a solitary gig, but when you write and share with others in a safe space, it is so fun. You really get to take off your mask, show who you are, and hear how your words resonate for other people. And I think, so I would also say, if you feel like I spend a lot of time alone, consider getting into a writing community and writing and sharing with other people, because it's really another level of connecting authentically with others.
Okay, all right. And I'm inspired as you're saying that. I'm like, yeah, I should write in community. I should do
That's right.
that.
Come right with us, Dr. Robin. We'd love to have you.
I love that. All right. So I'm guessing people are saying, hey, I want to hear more about what you're doing and the programs you have. Where could they be in touch with you?
You can always find me on the internet at robinfinn.com. I'm also on Instagram at robinfinnauthor. I'm pretty much at Robin Finn Author on YouTube, on LinkedIn. So I'd say, but the best way to get in touch with me is visit me at robinfinn.com. Send me an email at robin@robinfinn.com. I love to hear from people. I'm always doing workshops, courses, events. And I just, my message to all women is to write and to find their voice.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Okay, thank you so much, Robin Finn. I really appreciate you for sharing your wisdom and inspiring us to write. I feel like people are getting out their pens right now. So
Thank
thank
you.
you for being here and being so generous with your time.
And thank you for having me, Dr. Robin. It was really fun to have this conversation.
It was a joy for me too. Okay, everyone, and if I'd love to hear from you, hear your response to this podcast episode, whether you're writing or not, or your search for meaning and purpose, how that's going. I just love to hear from you. So head on over to the podcast website, which is Leadership Purpose Podcast, leadershippurposepodcast.com, leadershippurposepodcast.com, and we will increasingly adding support and resources for you as you are searching for meaning and purpose. And if you just want to be on social media and send me a message there, because that's where you hang out, you can find me at Robin L. Owens, PhD, at Robin L. Owens, PhD. But I hang out mostly on LinkedIn. But in any event, I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, this is Dr. Robin.